Ladies and gentlemen, I've always been a big favorite of the NFL draft. The way it works now with ABC and ESPN and other media outlets, pretty well all the draft is shown live on a myriad of networks. But this year, because of COVID being lifted in most of the jurisdictions, it had an old-fashioned feel, not to this era that I'm going to talk about, but where the era made sense, where good players were getting drafted, their families were celebrated, they turned into great career players. I know all the draft picks this year will give it their best at the NFL level because you don't want to be like this guy. Well, I'm going to talk about it, and I have to let the Beetlejuice out of the room because if you say this guy name 3 times, bad quarterbacking will follow. The worst draft pick of all time, consensus All-American in that category, is a person that lived in my home country of Canada for a while, of all things, as a financial consultant. Of course, we have to be talking about the disastrous draft and pro career of one Ryan Leaf. Now, Ryan Leaf never played for the Montreal Alouettes. You would think that a player that had so much problems in the NFL would eventually show up in the CFL, like Johnny Manziel and every other expatriate American player that wanted 1 or 2 last years in pro sports at the football level. Now, Ryan David Leaf is a former football player, was a quarterback in the NFL for 4 disastrous seasons. He played for the San Diego Chargers and the Dallas Cowboys, as well as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Seattle Seahawks. He spent the majority of his college career at Washington State, where he was a finalist for the Heisman Trophy after his junior year. He was selected as the 2nd overall pick by the San Diego Chargers in the '98 NFL Draft after all people, the great Peyton Manning. But his career was shortened due to poor play, bad behavior, injuries, self-denial, struggles with his work ethic, egotism, and overall overrated and overpaid. And, of course, the ability to stay focused. An episode of NFL Top 10 once ranked him as the number 1 draft bust in NFL history and pretty close to pro sports history, but the NHL number 1 draft picks have been bad, but not to his level. After his NFL career ended, he completed his degree at Washington State. He had numerous legal troubles involving drugs and break-and-enters beginning in 2010 after a Texas judge sentenced him to 10 years probation. 2 years later, he pled guilty to felony burglary and drug possession in his home state of Montana as he moved back to Great Falls, his home region. After a suspended sentence with a stint in drug rehab, Leaf began serving a 7-year sentence in state prison in December 2012. On September 9, 2014, Leaf was sentenced to 5 years in prison for violating his Texas probation by breaking into a Montana home to steal prescription drugs. But he was released from prison on December 3, 2014. Now, he has worked as a program ambassador for Transcend Recovery Community, a group of sober living houses in LA, Houston, and New York. He also has hosted a radio show and also worked as a college football analyst on television as well for NFL games. Now, after leading Charles M. Russell High School in Great Falls to the '92 Montana State title, he was told that his build and athleticism was good for a tight end, 6'4", 6'5", but 220, or maybe a linebacker by the head coach of the time, the great Dennis Erickson, at the University of Miami. He chose to be a quarterback not for the Hurricanes, but for Washington State Cougars, after head coach Mike Price, who had coached longtime New England Patriots starting quarterback Drew Bledsoe, called him on the phone while Leaf was watching the Rose Bowl and told him, if you come here, we're going there. Leaf did not know that Washington State had not reached the Rose Bowl since 1931, but later told SI that he immediately knew he wanted to accept a scholarship and play for Price. Now, he played in 32 games for Washington State, starting 24 in his junior year. He averaged 330 yards passing per game and threw for then Pac-10 conference record 33 touchdowns. He also led the Cougars to the first Pac-10 championship in school history. Despite his strong early showing in the '98 Rose Bowl, Washington State was defeated 21-16 by eventual AP national title holders Michigan Wolverines. Now, Leaf was a finalist in balloting for the Heisman that year, which is given annually to the most outstanding player in American college football, voted in by media figures and former players. He finished third behind the winner, defensive back Charles Woodson of Michigan, and Feller QB Peyton Manning, who at the time was playing in Tennessee. He was named Pac-10 Offensive Player of the Year, and was named a first-team All-American by the Sporting News, and finished second in the nation in passer rating. The Rose Bowl helped make him a possible first overall selection in the NFL Draft, and Leaf decided to forego his senior year at Washington State and enter the 98 draft. Now, his last year with Washington was quite impressive. 227 for 410, 55% passing percentage, 3,900 yards, 9.7 yards per throw, 34 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. Now, the idea of his running game was strong as well, as he scored six touchdowns by running. Now, the rating was quite interesting as well in all factors, only through 11 picks. Now, the 98 draft is best to look at this. His Wonder League rating was 27, 6'5" and a half. I guess he had grown a little bit in the offseason. 261 pounds, 33 inch arm length, hand span 10 inches. Now, Manning and Leaf were widely considered to be the best two players entering the draft, and scouts and analysts debated who would be selected first. Now, Tampa Bay Bucks coach Tony Dungy recalled that although his team did not agree to a quarterback, Manning Leaf was really split when you talk to people. Many favored Leaf's stronger arm and greater potential, while others deemed Manning the more mature player and safer pick. Most observers, however, believed that it would not greatly matter whether Manning or Leaf was drafted first, because either would greatly benefit his team. I disagree. I saw Manning leading up the role model, his personality quotient. I heard very little from Ryan Leaf from my fellow media members saying that he could be a problem. And I asked one of my U.S. colleagues, a problem in what way? Well, he said he said he's an iceberg. Take it as you will, and it proved out. The Colts owned the first draft pick that year. Team scouts favored Leaf, but Colts president Bill Polian, in the best move ever, and coaching staff preferred Manning, especially after discovering during individual workouts that he could throw harder than Leaf. Manning also impressed the team during his interview, while Leaf missed his. Leaf's draft prospect profile described the player as self-confident to the point where some people view him as being arrogant and almost obnoxious. Compared to Manning, God would be obnoxious. Now, Leaf gained about 20 pounds for the end of his junior season in a combine in February, which Jerry Angelo, one of 6 experts, SI consultant on the choice, described as a negative signal about his self-discipline. All 6 believed that Manning was a better choice, but the magazine concluded what does seem reasonably certain is that both Manning and Leaf should develop into at least good NFL starters. Now, the Chargers had the 3rd overall pick, and Polian told Chargers GM Bobby Beathard, a genius on all level, that he would not trade a Colts pick. Beathard later said he would have taken Manning with the first pick because he knew his father, Archie Manning, which I think was a big factor. But that didn't mean there was anything bad that way with Ryan at that time. His team needed a new quarterback after having scored the fewest touchdowns in the league in the previous season. They obtained the 2nd draft pick for Arizona. San Diego traded his 3rd overall pick, a future first-rounder, a 2nd-round pick, and 3-time Pro Bowler Eric Metcalf, guaranteeing the right to draft whichever of the 2 quarterbacks Indy did not take first. Manning was drafted first by the Colts and Leaf second by the Chargers. Now, they signed Leaf to a 4-year contract worth $31.25 million, including a guaranteed $11.25 million signing bonus, the largest ever paid to a rookie at the time. Leaf said, "I'm looking forward to a 15-year career, a couple of trips to the Super Bowl, and a parade through downtown San Diego." The night after the draft, Leaf flew to Las Vegas on the jet of Chargers owner Alex Spanos and partied all night. The following day, Leaf yawned during his first news conference. Now, the media, we have long memories, and consider this. His first press conference, he was yawning. Wasn't using the cliches, say, like Bull Durham. And media, we talk. And word was getting around, especially East Coast of Canada and the New York press and the Midwest, where the NFL is strong, that this guy could be trouble. Now, San Diego's high hopes for Leaf were soon dashed as his rookie season was marred by poor behavior, starting with skipping the final day of a symposium mandatory for all NFL draftees, which led to a $10,000 fine. Leaf nonetheless did well in the preseason and at start of the regular season as the Chargers won their first 2 games. They won their season opener 16-14 over the Bills, despite mistakes from Leaf, such as fumbling his first snap and throwing 2 interceptions. Buffalo penalties voided 2 would-be interceptions from Leaf, which means he had 4 in the game. Now, in the contest, Leaf's 6-yard touchdown pass to Brian Still that followed a 67-yard pass to Still gave San Diego a 10-0 lead. However, late in the game, San Diego fell behind 14-13 after a Leaf interception. Now, Leaf completed 16 of 31 passes for 192 yards in the opener and 13 of 24 passes for 179 yards, with 31 rushing yards and 7 carries in the second game, a 13-7 win over the Tennessee Oilers. So the defense won the first 2 games. He only scored 29 points. And here's where the problem started. When he started taking on the meat of the league, and 3 days before the Chargers' September 20 game against the Chiefs, Leaf was hospitalized for a viral infection that he attributed to an improperly cleaned artificial turf burn. He started the game, but completed only 1 of 15 passes for 4 yards. He threw 2 picks and had 4 fumbles, 3 of lost, in a 23-7 defeat. The next day, in an infamous video you can find in many forums on the internet, he was caught on camera shouting at San Diego Union Tribune reporter Jay Posner to knock it off during a locker room interview and was led away by Junior Seau and a team executive, during which he called Posner a fucking bitch. He later apologized to Posner for the incident in a very insincere press release written by the San Diego higher-ups. Now, after Leaf had 4 first-half passes picked off by the Giants in Week 4, he was benched by head coach Kevin Gilbride in favor of former 6th-round pick Craig Wilhyan. He started the following game on October 4th in a 17-12 loss to Indy and top pick Peyton Manning. Both quarterbacks completed 12 of 23 passes and threw 1 pick, with Leaf having 23 more passing yards than Manning. But Manning threw the game's only touchdown and was never sacked, while Leaf was downed 4 times. Inside the final 2 minutes, and San Diego down 14-6, Leaf's 56-yard pass to Charlie Jones set up a 1-yard Natron Means touchdown run, but Leaf's potential tying 2-point conversion pass to Webster Slaughter, coming over from the Oilers, was incomplete. He then lost his starting job permanently to Wilhyan following a 4 of 15 23-yard performance with an interception against the Broncos on November 8th. Lee finished the season with 1,289 passing yards in 10 games and a 45.3 completion percentage with only 2 TDs against 15 interceptions, earning him an abysmal quarterback rating of 39.0. Now, Leaf related poorly to both the media and his teammates, who will be tended to blame for his poor play, and developed a reputation for a poor work ethic, such as playing golf while other quarterbacks were studying film. Beathard said, "Guys can be jerks, but I've never seen a guy that worked harder and alienated his teammates. Junior Seau, Rodney Harrison, they came to me and said, 'Bobby, this guy is killing me.' Harrison described the 98 season as a nightmare due to Leaf's immaturity and Wilhyan's inefficiency. If I had to go through that another year, I'd probably quit playing. During the off-season, Seau called on management to sign a veteran QB and get a guy in here not to babysit, but to win." Now, in the 99 season, Leaf suffered an injury to his throwing shoulder 20 minutes into the Chargers' opening training camp workout on July 23, 99. 1 month later, a fan heckled Leaf by singing the lyrics from the Little River Band song, Lonesome Loser. "Tell me about the lonesome loser," like that, eh? And comparing him to failed NFL quarterback Heath Schuler. No offense, Heath Schuler had some talent. Yet to be seen if Ryan Leaf had the talent at the time. Now, Leaf, accompanied by the coach and security guards, went to confront the fan but was restrained by 2 coaches, with another Chargers employee saying, "No, don't do it, Ryan, don't do it." Leaf later explained the incident. "What I wanted to do was say, hey, look, I've grown up. I'm calm about it. I would like to understand why you would say that about me." That's not what the video showed. Now, Leaf underwent surgery to fix a labral tear in his shoulder and missed the 99 season onto it. He was placed on injured reserve, but made headlines in early November when he got into a shouting match with Beathard and a coach, resulting in a fine, a suspension without pay, and an apology from Leaf 4 years later. During suspension, he was caught on video playing flag football at San Diego Park, a violation of his contract, according to team management. Now, in the final game of the 2000 preseason, he completed a pass to Trevor Gaylor to seal a 24-20 win over the Cardinals. After the game, he appeared on the cover of the September 4, 2000 issue of SI along with the headline, Back from the Brink. The cover story characterized his comeback as an ascent from pariah to possible standout pro passer. He started the first 2 games of the 2000 season, but had completed less than half his pass attempts and threw 5 interceptions against only 1 touchdown. In a season opener on September 3rd, a 9-6 loss to the Raiders, he completed 17 of 39 passes for 180 yards and 3 picks, including one on a 4th and inches play with 1:37 left that sealed the Raiders' victory. He suffered swelling in his left hand, in addition to a chin gash that required stitches following a late hit from Raiders defensive tackle Reagan Upshaw. The following game, a 28-27 loss to the Saints, Leaf completed only 12 of 24 passes for 134 yards, but he threw his first touchdown pass since his rookie season, a 20-yarder to Curtis Conway, but also threw 2 interceptions, one of which again cost the Chargers at the end of the game. Now, head coach called in Moses to help out. He planned to start backup Moses Moreno in week 3, but Leaf started after Moreno suffered a shoulder injury, so no Moses to save Ryan Leaf. The following week, Leaf suffered a sprained wrist that caused him to miss the next 5 games. In November, he publicly speculated that the Chargers would release him after the season, and later that month, reports suggested that Leaf had lied about his wrist injury to get out of practice and play golf instead. Now, in a Week 11 game on November 12th against the Dolphins, he replaced Moreno mid-game. Leaf threw an interception on his 4th snap, led a touchdown drive in the Chargers' next series, and left the game with nearly a minute to go after straining a hamstring on a scramble. The game was the first since '93 where 3 quarterbacks on the same team, in this case, Leaf, Moreno, and Jim Harbaugh, each threw an interception in the contest. On November 19 against the Broncos, Leaf completed 13 of 27 passes and reached career single-game highs in quarterback rating at 111.8, passing yards 311, and passing touchdowns, but the Chargers lost the game 38-37. After an 0-11 start, the Chargers got their first win on November 26, 17-16 over the Chiefs. The Chargers took a 14-3 lead early in the second quarter after Leaf threw 2 touchdowns to Freddie Jones, but the offense struggled late in the game on the back of 2 interceptions, one of which was returned for a touchdown. Now, Leaf would again play poorly with 4 more picks against the 49ers on December 3rd, and with only 9 of 23 passes completed on December 2010 to the loss of the Ravens. He rebounded with 23 of 43 for 250 yards, 2 TDs, and 1 interception in a December 17 loss to the Panthers, 30-22. In the Chargers' final drive, with nearly 2 minutes remaining in the game, he completed a 10-yard pass to Conway that was ruled 6 inches short of the end zone. On first down, however, miscommunication between Leaf and running back Jermaine Fazendi resulted in a fumble and an 8-yard loss, and the next 2 plays, followed by a penalty forced a 4th down in goal 10 yards from the end zone, and Leaf's 4th down pass was incomplete. On the final game of the season on December 24th, Leaf made a 71-yard pass to Jeff Graham in the first play from scrimmage, but San Diego lost to the Steelers 34-21. In that game, Leaf completed 15 of 29 for 171. For the 2000 season, he completed 50% of his passes for 1,883 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 18 interceptions. After finishing the season with a disastrous 1-15 record, the Chargers released Leaf on February 28, 2001. In 3 seasons with the Chargers, he won only 4 of 18 games as a starter and threw a total of 13 touchdowns and 33 interceptions. Now, 2 days after the release, he was claimed by the Buccaneers, who were intrigued by his physical talent and planned to develop him more slowly, giving him time to watch and learn. Now, Leaf's wrists had not still healed, and the doctors recommended surgery. After a mediocre preseason, he was asked to accept demotion to fourth quarterback status on the team and accept a lower salary. He was refused and was released on September 3rd, 5 days before the start of the 2001 season. Now, the drama that will occur next is called the Leaf era in Dallas. Didn't last too long. Bear with me. He next attempted a comeback with the Cowboys, who signed him after the Bucs released him, but he failed his first physical and was let go on September 5th. After regular starter Quincy Carter suffered injury, the Cowboys signed Leaf again on October 12th. They also released him in May 2002 after he appeared in only 4 games, all losses, throwing for a 4-game total of 494 yards with only 1 touchdown and 3 interceptions. Now, days later, he still got another chance with the Seahawks, who signed him to a 1-year contract, planning to let him develop slowly, and the Bucs is done, and to allow his still injured wrist time to heal. He attended the team's spring mini camps and seemed upbeat about his new squad, but then abruptly retired at the age of 26, just before the start of the Seahawks' 2002 training camp, offering no explanation at first. Seahawks head coach and GM Mike Holmgren told the media Leaf's wrist did not bother him with either the Cowboys or the Seahawks. Now, during his brief career in the NFL, he appeared in 25 games, 21 starts. Only 48.4% passes made, and he had a career quarterback rating of 50%. Now, to quote another song, he took the money and run. Rodney Harrison, one of the Leafs' most outspoken critics on the Chargers, said of his retirement, he took the money and ran. Personally, I could never rest good at night knowing my career ended like that. Normally in this game, you get back what you put into it, and he pretty much got back what he put into it. Now, ESPN put Leaf on his list of the 25 biggest sports flops between 1979 and 2004. NBC sports commentator Michael Ventry called him the biggest bust in the history of pro sports. Not really, but Michael's not known for being positive about the negative. Since Leaf's retirement, sports writers and commentators have characterized subsequent draft potential NFL quarterback flops as the next Ryan Leaf. In 2010, the NFL Network listed Leaf as the number 1 NFL quarterback bust of all time, adding that the only good that came out of drafting Leaf for the Chargers is that it put the team in a position to draft LaDainian Tomlinson, Drew Brees, and eventually, after initially appeared, Brees himself would be a draft bust, Phillip Rivers. Now, Deadspin ranked Leaf as the 6th worst NFL player of all time in 2011, opinioning to call Leaf a bust is unfair to the Blair Thomases and David Carrs of the world. Blair Thomas and David Carr were good players. Injuries kind of hurt them. Now, Dish Network, including the Leaf in their 2015 biggest NFL bust bracket, where he was the number 1 seed along with fellow busts Jamarcus Russell, Tony Mandrich, and David Carr, who I think has been picked on. Now, Leaf in 2006 compared the problems of Cleveland Browns quarterback and Montreal Alouettes bust Johnny Manziel to his own, saying it was like looking in a mirror that the only difference was that Leafs' substance abuse problems happened after he retired. Jury's still out on that one. Now, Leaf went on to state that Manziel is able to get the help he needs. According to Leaf, Archie Manning asked Leaf's father before the 2004 draft about how the Chargers treated him, while accepting responsibility for his poor behavior in play. Leaf said his father telling Archie that the team did not help him was part of why Peyton's brother Eli Manning forced the Chargers to trade him to the Giants that year. Okay. Now, his criminal record was completely... it's too long to recount here, but we'll talk about what he did after football. After he retired, he returned to San Diego and became a financial consultant. And in 2004, he resumed his education at Washington State and graduated with a BA degree in humanities in May of 2005. The San Diego Union Tribune reported that among his classes in spring 2005 was a sports management course titled Media Relations. Don't know if he passed or failed. He then joined Don Carthel's West Texas A&M University staff as a volunteer quarterbacks coach in 2006. And in April 2008, ESPN went a little bit easier on him, described Leaf as having come to terms with his past. He said at the time, when playing football became a job, it lost its luster for me. I kind of got out of the spotlight and life's never been this good. But of course, with all the legal ramifications aside. In November 2008, he was put on indefinite leave and resigned the next day from his coaching position at West Texas A&M for allegedly asking one of his players for a pill to help him deal with pain in his wrist from past injuries. Now, Leaf's usage of painkillers dates back to 2002 when he took Vicodin from a boxing promoter after attending a match in Las Vegas. Leaf described the event as what started about an 8-year run of on and off opioid abuse that took my life to the very bottom. Now, in October 2009, he went to work in Vancouver, BC as business development manager for a travel company. In September 2010, he began writing a regular column about Washington State University football for the website CougFan.com. He wrote 9 columns that football season, and his work attracted a strong following among Washington State fans. In 2010, he signed a contract with Pullman, Washington-based Crimson Oak Publishing to write no fewer than 3 memoirs. Now, Crimson Oak released Leaf's first book, 596 Switch, The Improbable Journey from the Palaus to Pasadena, and the book focuses on the 97 Washington State football team that made the 98 Rose Bowl. Now, as of April 2018, he had been working as a program ambassador for Transcend Recovery Community after staying sober the last 6 years. He also hosted a radio show and worked as a color football analyst on television for the Pac-12 network. Now, ironically, in 2019, he was hired by ESPN as an analyst for the 2019-20 college football season for games on ESPN2 and ESPNU. He also worked as an analyst for selected weeks of Westward One's Sunday Night Football during the 2021 season. He also appeared as an analyst in the show NFL Overtime on Sky Sports in the UK during 2011. Now, the personal life, which I find kind of interesting, and I always wondered if Brady was going to come to the CFL. His younger brother Brady, very talented player, played quarterback for the Oregon Ducks football team behind Dennis Dixon from 03 to 06, and I saw him play. He was just a very talented younger brother as well. Now, ironically, maybe explains a lot of stuff. In June 2011, he had a benign tumor from his brain stem surgically removed. Now, still keeps in contact with Peyton Manning over the years. I guess they've developed a very constructive friendships. Now, the legal troubles can be seen in many areas here. I'm not going to go over them because it's quite long. Misdemeanor battery, drug use stuff. But the book that he wrote, 596 Switch, I've seen portions of it. It's a nice book. It's well put together. Like I said, not saying the guy wasn't talented. Not saying the guy's intelligence should be put down. But $1 million talent, 5 cent brain. But for me to pile on Ryan Leaf and say, like other media, he was this, he was that. I'm a hockey expert. I see what NHL players go wrong. It's usually because of money, drugs, liquor is a big problem. Ryan Leaf, in 2022, if there was a Ryan Leaf coming up, they would say, listen, don't draft this guy number 1. A lot of things we do in 2023 on the NFL level, the analytics, the dirty word that everybody uses now, or like the Billy Bean thing, it would have showed. If someone goes his first press conferences yawning, that's somebody that's got to be trained how to deal with the media. If you look at Bull Durham when he said you got to know your cliches, Peyton Manning was ready for NFL football, and Peyton Manning lost a lot of big games. And no matter win or lose, the media is going to respect you because he said Peyton's going to give us a good quote. Look at him now; he's going to be hosting all kind of different things over the next number of years. Could run for president down the road. He's a modern-day Roger Staubach, both on and off the field. But Ryan Leaf, we would never know how good he was because was he faking the injuries or he was fragile? What was going on? He should have been sent to the CFL for a year for seasoning, like a lot of quarterbacks. But his style of play could have fit to see it felt quite strong. But like I said, you give somebody $11.25 million signing bonus, tax-free. Come on. You know, I mean, if somebody put it this way, I get paid for this podcast now, but if somebody else says I'm going to pay you $10,000 a day without paying taxes for a podcast, you're thinking about to put in a big effort? And he's playing in San Diego. Who the hell is going to, other than Dan Fouts and a few other players, Lance Allward, you know, the 81 teams, the 83 teams, how many people is going to have a role model? You can fake it in San Diego. Pittsburgh, you can't fake it. Ryan Leaf would have came to Pittsburgh or Dallas or the Giants, he would have been eaten alive. But Indianapolis had a reputation because the Colts before were again one of the best teams in the 1970s into the 80s. Burt Jones and all the great, you know, Johnny Unitas. You play for the Johnny Unitas, you put that friggin', you know, horseshoe on your head or wear the horseshoe, you got to back it up. But Ryan Leaf, like I said, 20 years too early. If this was the internet generation, it wouldn't even have happened. He was the last, what they call non-internet bad draft pick. Now with everything going on, what kills him is injuries or the hype. But the quarterback hype is not there anymore, ladies and gentlemen. Ryan Leaf pretty well killed it. And other than Cleveland and a few other teams that still the draft that magical quarterback, it's not going to work. Now, by the time of this issue, he's either going to be back with ESPN or back in the legal troubles. I can't predict where he's going to go next because, again, you never know. But at that time, he basically almost tried to attack that media member. You can threaten the media member, but we put the curse on you because we're going to find a way to bring you down. We all know that. He brought himself down with the help of the media, especially with that fake apology the next day. You got to see the video to believe it. So that's the history of Ryan Leaf, who was a part-time Canadian, a part-time NFL for a few years. If you like what we're doing here, give us a like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget, the requests are always appreciated and always considered. Thanks for listening. Bye.